Nobody noticed the extra basement under Saint Orra Elementary until the children started coming home with wet shoes and old teeth in their pockets. Case file TR2-006-02LF04. The Twilight Registry opened this record after 3 unrelated witnesses in Greyhook Reservoir described the same odor of rainwater, penny metal, and extinguished candles. Each witness also reported a gap in the clocks. Not a power outage, not a skipped minute. A subtraction. Every clock lost exactly 9 minutes, but only the people who remembered those minutes looked older afterward. The first statement came from a night dispatcher named Maura Venn, who said the call board lit with a number that did not exist in any exchange. When she answered, a child whispered that the town had made a mistake by burying the church bell in 1949. Maura asked who was speaking. The child replied with Maura's married name, though Maura was 17 and unmarried in 1949. Then, the line filled with the sound of a bell swinging underwater. Registry analysts recovered the call, but the waveform behaves like a corridor. Played once, it is 14 seconds of static. Played twice, it contains breathing. Played 3 times, a voice begins counting down from 9, though the count never reaches 1. On the 4th playback, the listener hears their own front door open somewhere behind them. For containment reasons, the file is now transcribed instead of replayed. Mara drove to the old municipal yard where the bell was supposedly stored after the church fire. She found no bell. She found a circular patch of grass pressed flat as if by enormous weight, and around it, 9 sets of bare footprints facing inward. The prints were not human enough to be called human. Each had too many joints. Each ended in a crescent mark, and each was filled with black silt that smelled of deep water despite the summer drought. By noon, the sheriff had sealed the yard. By dusk, half the town had gathered outside the tape because they could hear singing under the asphalt. Not loud singing, intimate singing. The kind a mother uses in the dark when she does not want to wake the house. People who heard it began remembering a festival no record confirms. Lanterns in the cemetery, a procession down the riverbank, the ringing of a bell that was never cast by any foundry in the county. Evidence item A is a ledger from the burned church. Most pages list births, baptisms, marriages, and burials. 9 pages are stitched shut with red thread. When opened under court order, the pages did not tear. They bled river water. The ink beneath had spread into root-like stains, but one column remained legible. It contained names of people still alive. Beside each name was a date that had not happened yet. The registry's field team arrived at Greyhook Reservoir just before the first date on the ledger. They installed cameras facing the municipal yard, the reservoir, and the foundation of the old church. At 2:44 a.m., every camera tilted downward without mechanical input. At 2:53, the 9 missing minutes began. During the gap, the cameras recorded only a close view of wet stone. Afterward, one agent was missing and another was found, kneeling in the road with bell rope burns across both palms. The surviving agent reported a chamber beneath the town, not dug, but remembered into being. Its walls were lined with doors removed from demolished houses. Every door had a family name painted on it. Behind the doors were rooms furnished exactly as they had been during private tragedies. A kitchen after a verdict, a nursery after a fever, a motel room after a confession. The chamber was not collecting places. It was collecting the moment before people became someone else. At the center hung the bell. It was larger than the church records allowed, black-green with age and veined like bone. There was no clapper. Instead, inside the bell stood a girl made of silt and choir robes. Her face shifted through the faces of missing children from every decade of the town's history. She told the agents that the bell had been promised a name, then buried without one. Now it was ringing through people instead. The agent asked what would happen when the count reached 1. The girl smiled with 9 mouths. She said the town would be corrected. Houses would be returned to the families who should have lived in them. Graves would open for the people who had escaped their appointed endings. Children would wake with memories of parents they had never had. And every clock would stop pretending that time moved forward. Containment Protocol TR Lantern was enacted at 3:02 a.m. The teen ordered all residents indoors, disconnected municipal power, and broadcast a recording of ordinary rain over the emergency channel. The broadcast reduced the singing, but did not stop it. People pressed their faces to windows, crying because they could see loved ones standing in the street. Brothers lost to accidents, spouses lost to cancer, babies who had never taken a breath. The figures did not knock. They waited to be invited by grief. Mara then violated quarantine to reach her mother's house. Her mother had dementia and was speaking to Mara's father through a locked screen door. Her father had drowned at Greyhook Reservoir 26 years earlier. On the body camera, Mara can be heard begging her mother not to open the door. Her mother answers in a young woman's voice, saying, "I have been lonely longer than you have been alive." Then the bell rings once. The ring was not heard by microphones. It was recorded as absence. Audio dropped out across 9 counties. Dogs stopped barking. Hospital monitors flattened for 9 seconds, then resumed. In that silence, every person in town saw a door they had once closed and wished they had not. Most did not open it. 43 did. We know because 43 homes were later found furnished for people who had died years before, with fresh meals on tables and family photographs altered to include the returned. What came back was accurate in detail and wrong in temperature. The returned knew birthdays, old jokes, hiding places for spare keys. They also cast no reflection in standing water, and they could not cross a line of spilled salt unless invited by someone who loved them. One deputy embraced his dead sister and aged 70 years before the body camera fell. The last frame shows the sister looking into the lens and mouthing, "We are not finished being missed." At dawn, the bell was gone. So were the 9 stitched pages. The municipal yard contained a fresh hole shaped like a mouth, packed with river stones. Mara Venn survived, but her voice changed. Every ninth word she speaks is not hers. Registry linguists have matched those words to missing person reports spanning 1881 to the present. They form a message when arranged by date. Give the bell its name, or we will keep using yours. The official explanation cited methane hallucinations, mass hysteria, and a sinkhole caused by obsolete drainage tunnels. The registry accepted none of those explanations. We sealed the yard under a fictitious soil remediation order and installed listening posts along the reservoir. Once per month, always when fog covers the water, the posts detect the strain of a rope and the intake of a crowd holding its breath. There is one unresolved final note. Last week, a package arrived at registry intake with no postage and no return address. Inside was a rusted bell clapper wrapped in a child's choir sash. Tied to it was a tag bearing Mara Venn's handwriting, though Mara remains under observation and has not been given pen or paper. The tag read, "It found the name it wanted. It is yours." If you live in a town where an old church burned, where a reservoir covers the first cemetery, where your grandparents refuse to discuss a festival that does not appear in newspapers, do not answer any call that arrives during a missing minute. If you hear a bell underwater, close every door in your house and speak your name out loud until morning. Do not let grief answer for you. This record remains open. The Twilight Registry classifies the anomaly as recursive bereavement, auditory vector, invitation dependent. All recovered audio is restricted. All bells removed from condemned churches in affected counties are to be catalogued, weighed, and watched. Should any bell be found without a clapper, do not touch the empty space inside it. Something may already be standing there, waiting for your voice to teach it how to ring.